Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we got not one but two new trailers for Monster Hunter Stories 3, even though technically speaking, one of those wasn't really an official trailer, it was more so a part of the Nintendo Direct presentation, but due to the fact that there's some interesting little tidbits of information for us to extract from that video, we're going to be going over it with a fine-tooth comb, as well as all the other trailers that have currently been released for Monster Hunter Stories 3, and kind of like get as much information as we can of everything we know so far about this game. Yesterday we did get the reveal of the release date, which is going to be on the 13th of March 2026, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited to jump in. I loved playing Monster Hunter Stories 2. I never did get around to finishing Monster Hunter Stories 1 because at the time it was just like bad timing for me. I was covering other stuff, but like Stories 2 was absolutely phenomenal. I loved it from a gameplay standpoint. I enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the endgame min-maxing, really trying to squeeze as much power as possible out of your monsties. I thought it was a ton of fun. There was even a PvP mode. There's actually videos of me fighting Gaijin in Monster Hunter Stories 2. Both of us greatly enjoyed this game. Now, some people at this point might be questioning whether or not they would be into Monster Hunter Stories 2. This is a turn-based game. This is a game about collecting monsters, min-maxing your monsters, but there's also some degree of min-maxing to your own hunter character as well, because this is not just about getting your monsties and them fighting for you. Like, your character fights alongside the monsters as well, and it is, I can assure you, an absolute ton of fun. It's just, again, I know that there's a lot of people out there that just aren't into turn-based games, but I would almost be like, man, I forget if there's a demo for this. I think there might be a demo. I would definitely recommend check out the demo for Stories 2, see if you might be into it, because if you enjoy Monster Hunter, there's a high chance that you might enjoy Monster Hunter Stories, and Stories 3 is shaping up to be really, really cool. So, first little tidbit of information, there's going to be more stuff about Monster Hunter Stories 3 shown during Tokyo Game Show. I'm going to try to cover this to the best of my ability, even though it's kind of like been rough for me to juggle my schedule with real-life obligations recently, but I'm going to do my best. So Capcom's going to be at the Tokyo Game Show, Resident Evil, Requiem, Onimusha, Pragmata, as well as Stories 3, and I'm going to be doing my best to covering that when that stuff goes live. Now, in terms of some of the information that we've gotten a lot of social media posts from the official Monster Hunter account. Joe or Jono have been posting this pretty much since the game was revealed, and they give us a little bit of nuggets of information here, like for instance, new Tale of Riders and Monsters take flight revealed in a Nintendo Direct. This was already revealed in a Nintendo Direct initially, and now we get more information on Nintendo Direct. So they're working closely because usually obviously there's going to be a crossover between people that enjoy Pokemon and people that enjoy Monster Hunter Stories, even though, again, this is very much its own thing. It's not like a Pokemon clone or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I find it to be superior to Pokemon in every single way, which makes it much, much better for me. But Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection, the next evolution of the turn-based story-rich RPG series, is coming to Nintendo Switch 2, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC and Steam in 2026. So this is actually, this was the first time that I had heard, oh, it's also coming to PC and PlayStation, thank God, because I thought it was going to be a Switch 2 exclusive, and that would have been a bit of a bummer. Then we have Azuria and Vermeil. These are two kingdoms in a tenuous peace. Tensions reignite with the birth of twin Rathalos bearing the distinctive sky scale marking symbols of past devastation. As the crystal encroachment threatens the land, our story begins in the brink of war. And in this post, we also get like a nice little look. We're going to be seeing more of this throughout the trailers and stuff, but we get a nice little look at the art style of the game. This is obviously a Rathalos egg. I mean, specifically the Rathalos egg of the Rathaloses of legend, because it's always a Rathalos. Like, whatever the story main thing happens to be, it's always about a Rathalos. And so then in here we can see the true Rathalos. This is apparently a problem, the fact that true Rathaloses were born. And then we have like the kingdoms here in war. I love this art style. Like, Capcom's really kind of nailed this art style. I'm just hoping that optimize that RE engine, bro. I really don't want to have to deal with another situation of every time I talk about the Monster Hunter game, I have to talk about the performance. Please, I don't want to go through that again. Featuring a voiced protagonist this time around, a deep narrative with morally gray characters. This is something that I really appreciate. I like morally gray characters, characters that you know, they can be a little shady at situations, but maybe they'll have a reason for it. But they're not just like either goody two-shoes or just villainous types. I like morally gray characters. A larger world to explore, which again makes me concerned. Performance, Capcom, please don't do me like this again. And an evolution of the Monster Hunter Stories turn-based combat system. Now, I forget exactly what the major evolutions were from Stories 1 to Stories 2, but the stuff in Stories 2 was just really, really solid. I really, really liked engaging with that combat system. Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflections takes the series to new heights in 2026. And here they give us a little bit more information about the protagonist, which is you are the heir to the kingdom of Azuria, the leader of the Rangers, and the sole Rathalos rider in the kingdom set on a quest beyond the Northern Meridian. Monster Hunter Stories 3 features a fully voiced protagonist and character customization, further immersing you in the story and world. So even though in the trailers you're currently seeing like what would likely be the prince, I forget if it's of Azuria or Vermeil. Does it say? Yeah, Azuria. We're from the kingdom of Azuria. So it shows us the male protagonist of the Kingdom of Azuria, but you can also play as a female character, so instead of being a prince, you'll be a princess, something along those lines. And in Stories 2, there was customization, so you can make your character really look like something different than what you see in the trailers, which is something that I can very appreciate, because I always want to make the characters look different. The perfect thing for me would be give them a beard, but I guess he's still a little bit too young, which is another little detail, because like in Stories 1, we play as a child. In Stories 2, we play kind of like, you know, a little bit older, kind of like in a teen years almost, and this almost looks like a young adult here, right? Or at least late teen, something like that. So I like the fact that the character is growing the more... these are not the same characters, by the way, but I like the fact that we're playing more adult characters as the games advance. Then we have here befriend, raise, and face off against iconic monsters from across Monster Hunter series history, including the flagship monster from Monster Hunter Rise, Magnamalo. As a matter of fact, in one of the trailers that we see today, you guys will see us using Magnamalo to climb a cliff. Be on the lookout as we reveal more of the monsters featured in Monster Hunter Stories 3 in the future. Monster Hunter Stories 3 features a larger world to explore than in previous games of the series, with increased verticality and more riding actions. Journey into a world brimming with monsters just waiting to be discovered. Now, I am beginning to get a little bit fearful over the fact that there is a patent that Nintendo has filed, which is something that they've used against Palworld, which was about like the smooth riding of mounts and whatnot of the Pals. And I kind of feel like that patent can be used to sue Capcom, even though currently Nintendo doesn't really have a reason to do it because the game's going to be releasing on their platform, so they have nothing but to win with that situation. But we'll see how that pans out. Again, gorgeous art style here from Monster Hunter Stories 3. Absolutely love it. As the shadow of calamity creeps across land, two nations stand on the precipice of an outlawed war. Then we also have here Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflections Steam store page is live. This is just like them promoting like the fact that, oh, this thing is live now. Long thought extinct, hope quickly turns to despair as two Rathalos emerge from the same egg, sharing the markings of sky-scale Rathalos, a portent of destruction from a civil war 200 years ago. And then we have here the latest post, which is Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection launches a Nintendo Switch 2 PS5 up on March 13th, 2026. Right on in our next turn-based story-rich Monster Hunter RPG with an expansive world of monsters to befriend, raise, and battle with. So I figured now we go through the trailers. I'm going to be pausing a lot because whenever I find like a detail that I think is interesting, I want us to actually hone in on that. So let's go. This is the first trailer, the first revealed trailer. So in here they're revealing one of the events that has taken place during this game is the event of petrification. I don't know if this is going to be directly related to the storyline of the Rathalos. Most likely it will be, and there's going to be more information as we go forward with this. You can see that actually, yeah, they'll definitely be linked because the egg is right at the center of all the petrification stuff. Here we see the main character with one of his friends. Now, this is a mechanic that you will see in Stories 2 if you end up playing that, which, by the way, I would recommend. It's a really, really fun game. You will usually have a companion that fights alongside you, even in single player. And Stories 2 also had some form of multiplayer that you could engage in with friends. It was not like going through the main story, but there were like dungeons, multiplayer dungeons that you could run through with friends. And it's pretty fun if you enjoy doing that. Calls out to Rathalos. Damn, this art style is badass. You can see it as a friend riding a Legiana. This actually makes me wonder if we're going to be starting the game already with flying unlocked, because it takes quite a while for... I don't know how long it takes in Stories 1, but it takes quite a while for you to unlock Stories 2 flight. But in Stories 3... I think that in one of the trailers they show your character at a younger age, but he's already like flying Rathalos. But maybe something happens and they take Rathalos away from you and you have to fight your way back to getting a flying mount, because I think it'd be really overpowered if you were to just start with flight. But we'll see. Because the world is bigger as well.
Our ignorance is proving fatal. The encroachment threatens to drive our people out of house and home.
I'm guessing they're calling the petrification the encroachment.
But this divide has brought our two kingdoms to the brink of war.
And you are the sole Rathalos rider in Azuria.
I think that this particular trailer almost made it seem like a Fire Emblem game to a certain extent. You guys will see some of the imagery is definitely reminiscent of Fire Emblem games.
My people have been driven
like this.
into a corner, and the point of no return is looming before us.
I mean, here's a little bit of a comment that I have over this, like,
into a corner, and the point of no...
how y'all running away from a friggin' Rock Nikadaki? Although I will say that Rock Nikadaki looks a little bit bigger if you take into account the usual size of Rock Nikadaki in Monster Hunter Rise. That's a big one, bro. That's a gold crown right there. You guys should be running against it, killing it, so that you get the gold crown rewards.
Is looming before us.
Can't afford not to go. I cross the meridian and keep going.
Also, the Rathalos in all the Monster Hunter Stories game is always called Ratha because of reasons.
But it won't be for long.
Good old Maggie. Monster Hunter Stories 3. So this was the initial reveal trailer. I forget if there's like a follow-up in this one or not.
I can hear them.
Of course.
Two sounds. Overlapping each other.
I believe that's our character speaking. Notice how each of them has like a horn, so there's like the left Rathalos and the right Rathalos. $2026. Let's see which one our character rides, actually. Shows up here. He rides the right Rathalos, the one who's got the horn on the right side. You can see the horn there. Okay. Interesting. Now, let's move on. This here is the trailer that got released yesterday. This definitely looks like the father figure to the main character, the way that he's dressed, his face, all of that. Probably the king of Azuria, and this would be the queen of Azuria, I would imagine.
Twin monsters are a portent of disaster. Should you wish to oppose this omen, ancient custom dictates.
They were trying to burn a Rathalos down. That's just like a terrible idea.
That only one.
Rathalos is like either high fire resistance or straight up fire immunity.
May live.
It's evil. But yeah, see, our character there at a younger age.
Both as royalty and as a rider.
Now, this, I forgot to bring up the tweet, but I believe Gaijin Hunter said that in the Japanese version of the trailer, they actually say the name of this character, which is something like Rudy or something like that. So he will be kind of like your Palico, depending on how they end up localizing that name.
Do what you can to help him.
In the service of your development, I will go to the end of the world and beyond!
The only talk I hear...
He's gonna have that annoying voice. Yes. In case anybody's wondering, yes, you will have that voice, and I know that that type of voice is going to be grating for some people, but you can play the Japanese localization. Maybe that'll be better. I don't know. The only talk I hear of Lady Amara is as the founder of the Rangers and an intrepid protector of monsters.
Lady Amara is as the founder of the Rangers and an intrepid protector of monsters.
Okay, and here we can see a lot of stuff. So first let me remove my ugly mug for... Actually, I can put it up here. Let's move this here. Go. And you guys can see that. What do we have here? So we have him. He's going to be gliding on a Tobikadashi. And here we have a little mini-map. Usually these mini-maps will give you like information about where you can find these dungeons, which you can see right here. This would be a dungeon that you can go into to collect eggs. Back in Stories 2, these would be procedurally generated so that you would get like a different experience every time you go in there.
Unraveling.
And then we have quite a few monsters here that we can see that are going to be present in the game. So you have Wrath of the Rathalos. They're showing us that you can swap mid-flight to a different monster. But obviously you'll have to pick monsters that can fly. But I'm actually surprised that they're showing this off with Tobikadachi. I would assume Tobikadachi can only glide, because he's not really meant to fly. He's like a flying squirrel. Flying squirrels can glide, not really fly. And then you can swap to Ratha, swap into flight mode. We have Yankutku, we have Anjanath, we have Nursilla, and we have good old Green Plazioth.
The world's greatest mysteries?
Greatest hip check in the business.
Man, the Rangers are so cool!
Poogie! We have Poogie! Let me see Poogie! Damn it. Let's just do 10 seconds, whatever. I want to see Poogie. Look at Poogie. She's gonna be the one that I'm gonna be playing with all the time because she's got Poogie, the best. He's the best. He's got his little explorer outfit, looking really good. That art style is gorgeous. And here we have the Tronodon beaten up on a Paolumu. The Tronodon is actually one of the monsters that I really liked in Monster Hunter Rise, even though it was kind of basic, but he's just like a really cool monster. It was him and these are like two more basic monsters that I really enjoyed. It was him and the monkey from the Three Kings. I forget it. Garen Golem. I love the Garen Golem as well.
It's gone feral.
Wait, he's got crystals on his back. So that's going to be related to the petrification. That's going to be related to the petrification stuff, and that's why he's going feral. So they're going to power up monsters by giving them crystals. They're getting a little bit too inspired by Final Fantasy.
Look at that. It's gone feral.
There it is. There you go. Y'all can make fun of me now. There it is. The longsword. You get the longsword. They better have not removed the gun lance. If there's no gun lance in Stories 3, I'm going to have some choice words for the team. That's all I'm saying. There better be a gun lance, all right? Don't do me like this. Wait, there were some,
Look at that. It's gone feral.
there were some icons there. Feral Chatacabra. Guessing you'll have to bust those to be able to deal damage. Lots of like UI elements. All of these are, I'm only really going to be analyzing these when I get my hands on the game, because like trying to extrapolate meaning from these is going to be hard. But you can see that you have your main character. He's called Leo. You have Thea, which is going to be his friend. She's going to be a bow user. Leo right now is using a longsword. You can change between weapons, obviously. This is your kinship gauge. Allows you to do special attacks with your Monstie. Looks like Rathalos is paralyzed. Interesting. I'm assuming that means status ailments that they are suffering from, not status ailments they're about to do. And then she's got a bow. She's got poison coatings going. She's got Tobikadachi, which is currently doing a speed attack. The Rathalos is doing a... No, that's not... Is that speed? I mean, it is blue. Yeah, technically it's green, I think. So this has like a rock, paper, scissors type of thing. I forget which one beats which, but I think it would be like speed beats power, power beats technical, and then technical beats speed. Maybe. I forget if that's what it is, but I think that's what it is. And basically you have to like predict what type of attacks the enemy monster is going to do. And usually in stories too, what they would do is the enemies would have patterns that you would be able to, you know, after you do a couple of rounds of combat, you'd be able to predict, okay, so he's gonna do like speed, technical, special, you know, mechanic, whatever, and that was kind of like how you would eventually beat monsters. And you're like, well, if you can just predict what they're doing, won't that be easy? No, because they'll still rock you. They'll still rock you pretty friggin' hard, and sometimes they switch up on you too. That's double attack, which because sometimes you can kind of like combine with your monster and do like a really special, powerful attack, which is pretty cool as well.
I needed to know what she hoped to accomplish. I became a ranger in the hopes I might find out.
We have some Glavanos here with some purple things. This art sounds so good.
Rathalos! I can't believe they'd bring it here!
It looks like the two Rathalos will have to fight, but I suspect that at the end of it all, the two Rathalos are going to have to come together to defeat a bigger threat. That would be my prediction of like what the story will kind of like lean towards, with lots of twists and turns in between, but it'll still be great to just experience it. And then in this trailer, they show us something very, very interesting. They tease a monster, which once you get a good glimpse of its silhouette, if you've played Monster Hunter Wilds, it is super easy to identify what monster this is. Just gonna get to the part where there's lightning so you can see the silhouette. I mean, this is blatantly obvious. That right there is your boy Ray Dow. You can see based on the wing formations, based on the horns that he's got going, and the fact that there's lightning strikes behind him. Ray Dow is going to be in Monster Hunter Stories 3. Which that's pretty cool. Now, like I said, there's also a final video, which was actually the first one that we got yesterday. And this is during the Nintendo Switch presentation, so there's going to be narration over this one. We're still going to be pausing over it as we go through, but this one is different than the actual trailer that was released by both Capcom and Nintendo.
Two fates are now intertwined.
So you can see here the massive world that they're talking about, because the world is going to be bigger than it's been in Monster Hunter Stories 2 and Monster Hunter Stories 1. See the flight mechanics.
Welcome to the sprawling world of Monster
This place just looks absolutely gorgeous.
Hunter, where all sorts of monsters live.
So in here they show us monsters that we can get in the ground. This is Plesioth, Yankutku, Magnamalo, Velocidrome, Tobikadachi, and Rathalos. I wonder if Rathalos can't fly at this point, because why would you be running around the ground
Hunting with
monster?
certain creatures called monsties.
Is there an affliction?
You can traverse the land.
No, there's probably a shiny there for him to pick up. And as you can see, he swaps between two monsters to do the climbing
creatures
there.
called monsties. You can traverse the land. Climb cliffs.
Super seamless.
Swim across water.
And you can use Plesioth to go
And
through the
fly
water.
through the air as you freely explore the map.
It looks like, looking at this, it makes me wonder if rather than flying, what you're doing is gliding, because then you have like those, they definitely look like updrafts that will give you more air.
However, a strange phenomenon that causes petrification now threatens the world.
Which actually that would make sense. Like, because you're still a noob, you don't know how to properly fly a monster and get him to like fly up, so you need to rely on updrafts, and then certain zones will not have updrafts, which will cause you to use the ground monsters. That could be one of the ways that they tackle it.
It's up to you to venture forth and find the source of the danger in order to prevent total calamity. Raise your mind.
So in here we see a bunch of eggs. Actually, I didn't look into these ones. I was looking into eggs before I recorded this. These are probably Velocidrome. Yeah, these are Velocidrome eggs. All of these are Velocidrome eggs. But I was looking into eggs because the next scene actually has a couple of interesting eggs. So See if I can
Total
pause it at the
calamity.
exact right time.
Raise your monsties.
Okay, so if we now go back, we can see like all of the colors of the eggs. And this kind of like gives you an idea because these are not completely random. So there's a method to the madness. And I was going through all of the eggs that you can get in both Monster Hunter Stories 2 and Monster Hunter Stories 1 to kind of like get an idea of what each of these monsters could be, because again, the patterns have like a meaning. Like for instance, star pattern means it's an Elder Dragon, as you can see here, Orochi Kirin. Where's more? We have Kirin over here, there's Kushala Daora, etc., etc. So each of the patterns indicates like at least a monster type, so like a brute wyvern, flying wyvern, so on and so forth. So if we look at all the eggs here from me looking over these things, the conclusion that I've come to, and again, I could be completely off here, I could be wrong, and that's fine, but that part of the fun is to kind of like speculate. I suspect that they changed the Stygian and Ogre, the Stygian and Ogre egg, and I think that this one might be a Stygian and Ogre, although because this egg is bursting, it's like kind of like hard to really nab it, but I think my best guess for this one would be Stygian and Ogre. This one, I found an egg that matches this exactly in, I think, Monster Hunter Stories 1, and it was for Ivory Lagaia Cruz. So that would be my guess for this one. This one looks like Raknakadaki because this particular pattern is usually Temnocerones, spiders, that type of thing. So Raknakadaki would make the most sense for me. This one, there's one exactly like, not exactly like this. The shade of blue is slightly different, but it was for Rajang. But I'm not sure if it's going to be Rajang in this one, so it might be that or it might be a Kongalala. I was also thinking it might be a Bishaten because this is going to be for a fanged beast. And it can also be potentially a Gossarag. But my strongest guess would be either Rajang or Bishaten, but you know, that's the potential there. This one, the pattern is for brute wyverns, but the specific colors I couldn't really find matching eggs, or even just like looking at a list of brute wyverns. I don't know, it didn't come to me. I know that some people will say Angie, but Angie has like very different coloring in. Well, actually, I guess it's not that different. It's just more pinkish. You know, this is what an Angie egg looks like in Stories 2. So I guess you can kind of, maybe it's the lighting or something, but I don't know. It feels much more orange, warm red than a pinkish red. So I'm not entirely sure if it would be Angie. My speculation was Chematrice or Bombaru. I think it might be Chematrice. That would be my speculation on that one. And then this one, I actually had someone speculate that this was Volstrax, but looking at this red, this shade of red is much more pinkish, purplish type of thing, which to me screams out Malzeno. I think that this one's going to be Malzeno, but we'll see when the actual game comes out. But I just thought it was a fun little bit of speculation to do with the eggs that are shown here. So again, my somewhat predictions would be Stygian and Ogre, Ivory Legiacris, Raknakadaki. I'm going to go with Bishaten if I had to choose between Rajang and Bishaten. Bishaten, even though there's a Rajang egg that looks almost exactly like this. Chematrice and Malzeno. We'll see if I'm right or wrong when the actual game comes out, but it's just a fun little exercise.
And work together to face whatever.
And here you can see the combat menu. Let's actually pause that again.
Raise your monsties, bond with them, and work together to.
So this is where you kind of like choose which part of the monster you want to attack, and it gives you information about like how powerful your weapon is against that specific weapon part. So if you notice right now he's targeting the legs, and the legs are going to be more vulnerable to piercing damage. So like lance, gun lance, I don't know if lance is going to be on here, but you know, thrusting damage basically is what we're looking at. Bows as well, that type of thing. Actually, don't they do slashing damage here? Actually, I could be wrong. This could just be bows for those. But yeah, you get to choose which weapon you want, which part you want to attack, which weapon you want to use. And you also see that Ratha here is about to do a Venom Strike. You see that Tobi Kadachi, she called her Kagachi? What? And that threw me off so bad. Toby Kagachi. But yeah, she called her Toby Kagachi, and he's doing an attack called Thunderbolt. It's a speed attack. We're gonna Venom Strike's a power attack. We're gonna do a soothing song with Leo, which is also a speed attack, and defense down coding with Thea. So yeah, and these will all kind of like play out. You basically select what action you're gonna do. I think that the partners, so the companions, choose their own actions, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't really remember if that's the case or not. But yeah, these are all the actions that are gonna play out. And then the monster will do its own attacks to counter, and you get to see the whole thing play out. And then there are really cool things that can happen as well, like they show here. You can have a head-to-head. So Thunderball is going to be going up against
in your path.
Magnamalo, and he wins because they both attack like at the same time or something. There's also these power struggles that you can have at times as well. You can have double attacks. Just really cool.
Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, soars onto Nintendo Switch 2, March 13th.
So this is all of the stuff we have so far about Monster Hunter Stories 3. I'm super excited about it. Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Stories 3? Let me know as well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.